रतना बेदीरा बोसाबोध जाना रतना बेदीरा बोसाबोध जाना राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोर जुगल किशोर श्यामा गौरी अंगे दिवा चंदनी रगंध श्यामा गौरी अंगे दिवा चंदनी रगंध चमर डुलावो कभी हरि मुख चंद्र चमर डुलावो कभी हरि मुख चंद्र राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोर जुगल किशोर गाथिया मलाती मला दिवदोहार गले गाथिया मलाती मला दिवदोहार गले अधरे तुलिया दिवो कर्पूर तमूले अधरे तुलिया दिवो कर्पूर तमूले राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोर जुगल किशोर ललिता विशाखादि जत सखी वृंदा ललिता विशाखादि जत सखी वृंदा अज्ञाया करिबो सेवा चरण अरविंद अज्ञाया करिबो सेवा चरण अरविंद राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोर जुगल किशोर श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु दशरथदास श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु दशरथदास सेवा विलास करे नरोत्तम दास सेवा विलास करे नरोत्तम दास राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोर जुगल किशोर राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोर जुगल किशोर हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you, Mataji. Wonderful Kirtan. So let's begin. Okay. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitamena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Roopa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Rangi Devi Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, Hare Krishna. So last week we started chapter 2, contents of the Gita summarized. So let's do a quick revision and then we'll start where we stopped. So before we begin, let's pay our obeisances to Shri Radha Govinda and Srila Prabhupada. Usually that there is one slide with Radha Govinda. I'm not able to see that. I'll include that next time. So we saw Arjuna's reasons for not wishing to fight. And then Arjuna actually surrenders to Krishna in this chapter. He says, Shishyaste aham sadhimam tvam prapannam. He says, I am your disciple, Krishna. You are my guru now. Please instruct me what to do. And that's the turning point. Then I will do one thing. I'll directly go to that place, that slide where we stopped. Then, until then, we'll revise. So after accepting Krishna as guru, because the relationship between two friends is very casual. When they talk, one may not take the other person seriously. But here now, Krishna is the spiritual master and Arjuna is the disciple. So the talks are on a very, different level. They're quite serious. Arjuna will ask a lot of questions and Krishna will keep on answering him, clear all his doubts. So 1 second, I'll go to that slide 30 or 32 it was. And he gave a lot of information about the soul, characteristics of the soul. Okay. Is my voice audible?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, because someone said, right, it was not so audible, so I'm using a mic today. So hopefully. So this is where we stopped, characteristics of the soul. Okay. Let's continue from here. Okay. Now, so soul has no past, no present, no future. Soul is ever existing and primeval. It has no date of birth, like a body has a date of birth, but we cannot trace in history when the soul came into being. So that's not possible. And the soul never becomes old. That's the reason even a very old person, he will feel, as if he's in the same spirit as he was when he was in childhood or youth. It happens to us also. When we, think about our childhood days, we feel like we are in the same spirit. Inside, we feel the same. But when you look in the mirror, we know, right? We are not, our body has changed, but inside we feel the same. So it's just like that, because the soul never becomes old. It's just the body changing. And soul is always conscious, and it is full of knowledge. This information we get from Upanishads. Prabhupada gives lot of references for everything, every statement he makes, for everything he writes. He keeps on saying, this is from this Upanishad, Katha Upanishad, this one, like that. So if you read purport, you can see all that. And then, like, how do we know there is soul in the body? Because of consciousness. Consciousness is the symptom of the soul. Sometimes you may not be able to see the sun because of the clouds and all. But since there is light, we know sun is there. So just like that, if there is little consciousness in the body, we know that there is soul in the body. And then there are two kinds of souls. Do you know what they are? What are the two kinds of souls? You can just unmute and answer.
Soul and super soul.
Okay. Soul and super soul. That's correct. There are two kinds of souls in the body. But do you know what it is called, Mataji, in Sanskrit?
Paramatma. Atma and Paramatma.
Yes, one is Anu Atma and the other one is Vibhu Atma, infinitesimal small soul, and the other one is Paramatma. They are not equal. So there is an analogy here. It says it's like soul and super soul, like as if they are two friendly birds sitting on the same tree. So one is the master and the other one is a servant. And this soul that is Anu Atma, what is it doing? It's very busy enjoying the material nature. It's very busy with sense gratification. And this Paramatma is actually watching this soul. And then it's waiting. When is this soul going to turn and look at me? When is that going to happen? He's just waiting and waiting. But here, Arjuna has already surrendered to the super soul. So as soon as that happens, the lamentations will stop. So until then, even though we feel like we are enjoying this material world, there will be lamentation, there will be anxiety. Only when this Anu Atma, this soul looks at the Paramatma and starts, has this kind of relationship, like how Arjuna has with Krishna, that's when all the doubts get cleared. So that is very important. And then the consciousness of the soul is different from the consciousness of the super soul. In the sense, we are forgetful. Soul is very forgetful, but the super soul does not forget. Krishna does not forget anything. He is the fountainhead of the super soul, actually. Super soul, the Paramatma, is a localized representation of Krishna. And Krishna doesn't forget anything. He knows the past, he knows the future, he knows the present. But Arjuna does not remember what happened in his previous birth also. So like that, we are very forgetful. Because we are forgetful, how do we regain our memory? What's the easiest way to regain our memory? Do you know? We forget because we're changing bodies. This atomic soul going from one branch to another. Because of that, the memory is gone. So how do we regain this memory?
Maybe with after connecting with the Paramatma? No, I think.
Yes, Mataji, it's okay. Correct, Mataji. You're right. You're also right. Others also, please speak out. It will be nice to hear you all. Otherwise it's all full of lot of Sankhya here. It is not like there is no, see, Bhagavatam is full of pastimes, but Bhagavad Gita, especially level 2 and 3, we cover so many shlokas, right? There will be so much more that will be covered. So if we discuss, it will become easier and we'll not forget what we read also. Okay, we tend to forget our real nature, but we can gain education and we can enlighten ourselves. We can gain enlightenment from the lessons of Lord Krishna himself and his representatives. So that's how we understand. Vedic scriptures are giving us all the information. So that's how we can again understand who we are, get our memory back. So how can a person who knows that the soul is indestructible, eternal, unborn and immutable, kill anyone or cause anyone to kill? So a person in knowledge will know how and where to apply all his knowledge and whatever he has. Everything has its own utility, right? Just like that, violence also has its own utility. We'll discuss this more. See, we have a knife in our house, for instance. So a person in the kitchen will know how to use the knife. That person will use it to chop the vegetables or, for things it is meant for. But if the same knife is in the hands of a child, the child will not know what to do. So it's like that. Everything has its own utility, but it requires knowledge and we need instructions from the guru. So here There is a verse here. Who would like to recite? Anyone? Please unmute and recite. It's okay to be wrong, actually. Just try to recite, and we can recite twice also. So that way we'll learn how to recite these verses. Pramod Prabhuji, you are unmuted. Do you want to recite?
Can try, Mataji.
Yes,
I
sure.
think I am more comfortable with the Sanskrit one. So maybe I try to take it out.
Okay. Anyone else who would like to recite? You
Okay.
will try, I will help you. Deepti Mataji, yes, Mataji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya navani grihnati naro aparani tatha sarirani vihaya jirnani anyani samyati navani dehi. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. So actually there are, this is little different from the previous verses, right? Right? So you can sing like this. Vasam sijirnani yatha vihaya navani grihnati naro parani tata sharirani vihaya jirnani anyani samyati navani dehi. So as a person puts on new garments, giving up old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless ones. So we atomic individual souls keep on changing our body. If we don't want to change our body, then we have to attain the spiritual body by, completely surrendering to Krishna. So that's the process called Krishna consciousness. But here, Krishna is giving this information in the sense, how do we get a new body? Do you know how we get another body? Based on what? What's the, how is it decided what kind of body we should be getting?
The state of our mind at the time.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna. And what else?
And what we have done in our entire lifetime, that also decides.
Yes, our karmic accounts and all that will decide. And our desires. We have some, say you have a very strong desire for something, that's the kind of body you'll get. Say you love to be in water all the time, just like people go surfing and they will love these beaches and all, they're always in the water. If that happens, a person has such a strong desire to enjoy waters, then that person will get a fish body in the next birth. Like that, our desires are, sometimes the desire is very subtle, we don't even speak about it, but our mind is constantly coming up with something or the other, right? So we have to be very careful about our thoughts and what we are desiring, because that will come true. Our next body will be designed accordingly. It's like we go to the tailor and say, give me this, stitch this for me. And each of us is different based on the height, weight, and the shape of the body, whatever, and the taste also. Some people like yellow, some people like blue, red, and then what kind of dress. There's so many kinds of dresses. So based on that, the tailor will make a dress, right? Like that, there are so many lakhs of species of life. We can get one of it. We are very lucky that we are in the human body right now, because otherwise we wouldn't be understanding anything. We are making an attempt to understand Bhagavad Gita and all this. In an animal body, we can't do all that. And plant body, nothing only. Plants cannot even speak. They cannot walk to the temple. They cannot do much, right? Compared to us. So here, what happens? Krishna is saying the one who dies on a battlefield or on a sacrificial altar, what happens to such a person? All his sins will be gone. He'll be cleansed of all the sins, of all bodily reactions. So whoever dies on this battlefield, they will all attain liberation. So Krishna is saying there is no need to lament. And your grandfather and your teacher, all their sins will be cleansed. And they will get accordingly. And they are noble souls. So they'll be fine. Why are you worried? So he's saying that. Okay, next. Okay, please recite this one. Who would like to recite?
Mataji, can I try?
Yes, Mataji, sure.
Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha, na chainam kledayanti na shochayati marutaha.
Soul can never be cut into pieces by any weapon, nor moistened by water, nor withered by the wind, nor burned by fire. So no weapon can kill the spirit soul. So Arjuna is going to use weapons right now. So he's actually not killing anyone because it's just the body. The body is like a dress. All these people will change their dresses. That's what is going to happen. The swords, flame weapons, rain weapons, tornado weapons, all kind of weapons. Nothing can destroy the soul. There is one theory that soul gets purified by entering fire and all. No, fire also has no effect on the soul. So that does not happen. Okay, one more verse here. Another one. Who would like to recite this one? Hare Krishna.
I'll try, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji, right.
Hare Krishna. Achedyoyam adayoyam akledyo shosha evacha nitya sarvagata sthano achalo ayam sanatanaham.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. So soul is unbreakable, insoluble, neither burned nor dried, everlasting, present everywhere, unchangeable, immovable, eternally the same. And then there is also this theory of monism, where the individual soul will all the souls will go merge, they become homogeneous and all that. So an individual soul will never become one homogeneously, it will not go mix up with anything. And after liberation also, the soul will remain as a separated part and parcel of the Lord. And some souls, like we know, they prefer to stay in the Brahma Jyoti, which is Brahma Jyoti is also coming from the Lord. It is the effulgent rays coming from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So they want to go and merge in that light, stay there, hang in there. So that is their goal. But an intelligent soul will want the association of the Lord. He will try to enter the spiritual planet and go to the Lord. They want moksha, the liberation. They don't want to come back to this cycle of birth and death. So that is intelligence, who really want to go and spend time with the Lord himself, serve him there. Soul is invisible, inconceivable and immutable. So there is one more verse here. See, avyaktoyam. See, this one we read. There is one shloka here. Who would like to recite?
Mataji, I'll do it.
Okay, Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Avyaktoyam achintyoyam avikaryoyam uchyate tasmadevam vidatvainam nanu sochitam arhasi.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. So here it's saying soul is invisible. So we cannot experiment and find out how to, we cannot look at the soul because it is invisible, it is saying. It is so tiny also. Do you know the size of the soul? It's given in Bhagavad Gita 2nd chapter. Last week we discussed. What's the size of the soul? It's given. Does anyone remember?
Yes, 100,000th of the tip of the hair.
Okay, who else? Others also please join in and tell.
1/10,000 part of a tip of the hair.
Yeah, and see our tip of the hair, we can see that it's so tiny. Imagine cutting it into so many pieces, and we can't even do that, right? No microscope can see the soul, basically. Then how do we understand that soul exists? Only by studying the Vedas, Shruti Praman. Just by hearing from the authorities, just by Vedas, we understand that soul exists, and soul is conscious and consciousness. So there are many things we accept as truth, just on the basis of the authority of Vedas. It's like that. Like Prabhupada gives many examples. The stool of an animal is actually dirty, right? People, if something, a bird poop falls on us, we'll go and take a bath. Or we touch something, we go and take a bath. We cleanse ourselves. We clean. ourselves. But when it comes to cow dung, what do? We use that for, cow dung is not considered dirty. That is because of Vedas are giving that information. And anything that cow urine or cow dung, both are used, so they are not considered dirty. So Vedas are telling us that, so we follow. That's it. That's how it is. And science also has come up with so much information now, saying that actually cow, cow dung has so many properties and it's actually useful. So Vedas give us all this instruction and we must really respect all that. So soul, more characteristics, eternal soul. It's unbreakable, insoluble, neither burned nor dried, everlasting, present everywhere, unchangeable, immovable, eternally the same, invisible, inconceivable, immutable. So Krishna wants Arjuna to understand that he's not the body, he's the soul. This is like, we have to get it. It's repeated so many times because we have to understand we are not the body, we are the soul. Most of us are living on that bodily platform. This is how I look. This is my name. I've become fat. I've become thin. This, that, external features. There are people spending thousands of rupees to fix their wrinkles. There's so much that is, they think, they look at the mirror and think that is them, right? So much attachment to the body is there. So getting to this realization that, and living that is, theory is one thing, practicals is different, right? It's like that. So we have to actually realize that we are not bodies, we are all souls. So if, however, you think that the soul will always be born and die forever, you still have no reason to lament, O mighty armed. What he's saying is, see, there are some philosophers. There are two kinds of philosophers. One believe in the existence of soul. They think, yeah, soul exists. So they accept that. There are other class of philosophers who say, no, there is no existence of soul. Body is gone. That's it. There is no existence of the soul. Separately, it does not exist. So they are also called Lokayetikas and Vaibhasikas and all that. And most of the scientists and philosophers are also like that. They believe like that. It's like all the physical elements combined together and create the body. And some physical elements, chemical elements all interact together and life's symptoms will, just happen on its own. At some stage, all these life symptoms appear because of some chemical elements and physical something, some reaction happens. So that is one kind of a theory. They actually try to find out how life came because of some chemical reactions and all this. But even if that is so, say we are all just chemicals. So there was a very nice image of a car accident where there is a person also who has got hurt and the car is damaged. Who would you lament for, the person or the car? If suddenly we see someone, like say the vehicle is, something has happened to the vehicle and there's a person who has got hurt, what our first sympathy is for the car or that person?
The person.
The person, right? So here Krishna is saying, if that person also is a chemical, a bunch of, just put all the chemicals and is become a human. So then why are you lamenting for bulk of chemicals and stopping your prescribed duty? So you don't have to, and you don't have to worry about sins also, because we're all just not, we're not souls. So why are you worried? So he's saying either you believe in the soul or you don't believe in the soul. Either way, you don't have to lament. And he's also calling him Mahabahu in this verse. Oh, mighty armed. That means he's calling him a Kshatriya, saying that it's like sarcasm. He's saying, look, at least you following Vedic culture, you are a Kshatriya. You're a Vedic, you're a Arya. So going by that, because of what you are, at least you don't believe in the non-existence of soul. So, he's saying you're Mahabhav, so you belong to that Vedic culture. And so he's actually praising that part of, Krishna, Arjuna. So he's saying, you don't accept the theory of Vaibhasikas, which is good. Okay. One who has taken his birth is sure to die, and after death, one is sure to take birth again. Therefore, in the discharge of your duty, you should not lament. Cycle of birth and death, right? It keeps on happening. And this does not mean just because everybody will die, everybody will be born again. There's no problem been destroying the bodies. It's not like that. That does not support unnecessary murder, slaughter of animals. That does not mean that. So Vedic Vedas say you should not cause harm to any living entity. It's said that. But violence and war are also inevitable. They are inevitable factors in the human society. Just to maintain law and order, sometimes the authority has to use violence. So that is actually acceptable. So Arjuna, even if he is killing someone or fighting, he is not just doing whimsically. Because this war is unavoidable and it's his duty to fight. That is why he is going to fight. So he'll be discharging his proper duty. That's what Krishna is stressing on. This is not something we are doing whimsically. So there's no need to avoid this. If he avoids, then he will be degraded. That is wrong. If he goes ahead and fights, then that's the right thing to do. That's what Krishna is stressing on. All created beings are unmanifest in their beginning, manifest in their interim state, and unmanifest again when annihilated. So what need is there for lamentation? See, before creation, Bhagavatam gives the information about how this entire creation came into being, how this material world was created. Everything is explained in Bhagavatam. So before creation, all the material elements, they were all unmanifested. So, and soul has a separate existence. And then from that subtle state of non-manifestation comes manifestation. And it is said from ether comes air is generated, and from air fire is generated, and from fire water is generated, and from water earth is manifested. So that's how it is. And from earth many manifestations take place. It is like if you see a building, before the building is constructed, everything is just lying around, right? So it is in unmanifested state. And then once it is built, it is in manifest state. And if you destroy it again, everything will crumble down. So the law of conservation of energy will remain. Whether it is unmanifested state or manifested stage, in either way, the elements are there. Nothing is lost. That's what Krishna is saying. So you don't have to worry.
Mathaji, I've got one question. I was hoping
Yes.
you could clarify more for me.
Yes, Prabhu.
Obviously, over millions of years, the population of this earth has increased, goes up in billions over so many years. So obviously, as the cycle is going on, then some souls are going back home to Godhead, and some are going into the new bodies. And obviously, as I say, in this universe, in our particular earth, then it's increasing. So obviously, then souls are eternal, so they can't be created or destroyed. So somehow in this particular earth, there's new souls, or not new souls, but there are different souls coming into each of the new bodies, right? Because if I, for example, am just kind of going around in the cycle, then I might go from one animal to a human or something. But where are the other souls coming from? Because I guess that means that they must be coming from either another universe in the whole, or they're falling souls from, from Kannada, or I'm trying.
Yes,
Can you explain a little
yes,
bit?
I understand. Yes,
Thank you.
actually, soul has its independence. We had a desire to stay, come and enjoy life on our own. I want to be independent. I want to experience, I want to enjoy without Krishna. Why in the spiritual world serve Krishna? Let me also be the proprietor. We have that false ego. And because of our own desires and activities, we are here. We are going through something. But we're talking about population, right? We look around and say, look, so many people in our country, so many people in the world. But actually, if you see, Bhagavatam, it says, Bhagavad Gita also say, that in 1 inch of space, there will be so many souls, it seems. We cannot see at all. Souls are in the rain also. And the grass that is outside, that is also a soul. All the trees are souls. And then you'll see souls in the water. Souls are everywhere. They are flying in the air also. It's like that. It's not, so Prabhupada says, it is not about population. It is mismanagement of material nature, It is, we talk about pollution. environment is getting polluted, and then we are not managing the resources properly. The greed has overtaken everyone. There is enough for everybody. It is the problem with us. Pollution, in the sense, consciousness is polluted. If the consciousness is pure, consciousness is clean, it is Krishna consciousness. We're all, God consciousness is equal to Krishna consciousness. So if that happens, if the person is purified from inside, he will automatically take care of the environment also. So the problem is with the consciousness. So much greed and so many anarthas, and the leaders are all so corrupt. So this is the problem. In ancient India, long back, if you read Bhagavatam, all the kings, they were all, very highly elevated souls. The spiritually very highly elevated souls. They didn't have this greed of like, I need power, I want to control someone. No, they understood. They were there only to serve people. Like children, they used to take care of everyone. And we have many examples like that in Bhagavatam. So today's leaders are not like that. They're very, very selfish. They want to enjoy for themselves, sense gratification. So they don't have that service attitude at all. Neither SQ is there, nothing. So they're not qualified to be proper leaders, actually. So that is the thing. And yeah, souls are everywhere. Every planet is populated, it seems. Now, we can't see them. If somebody is living in the sun planet, that's what Bhagavad Gita says, they have a suitable body that can enter fire. It's like that. If a fish is living in water, it has a body that can, that actually is adjusted to that kind of water, right? So it's like that. So they are like that. Bird has a different body. Like that, we see only this material of our world, but there are so many planets, thousands and thousands of planets. That's what Bhagavatam says. And in Krishna book also, there is information about planets which are made of gold. The entire planet is made of gold. Planets, and there are oceans of oil. We have seen oceans of seawater, right? But there are oceans of oil also. And there's Milky Ocean, which we cannot see, obviously, from here. So our material senses are very limited. We have to just read this and then we're like, wow, all this really exists. We need qualification. But our senses are very, very limited. We can't understand everything. We have microscope and that also cannot see the soul. So that's how it is, Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. So philosophers, there are two kinds of philosophers. One class does not believe in existence of soul. They are like atheists. They are atheists. And the other class believes in existence of soul. So material existence before creation is unmanifested. It's in this stage. Then creation happens. It's in manifested stage. Then annihilation also happens. So everything will be destroyed. This entire material creation will be destroyed. Spiritual world will remain. That is eternal. Only this material world will be destroyed. And again, it will be created. It happens when Brahma dies. He lives for 100 years. And after he dies, everything will be destroyed. But everything, in the sense, we are unmanifested. We still exist. And again, we'll get new bodies or we'll go back to the spiritual world. It depends on our consciousness and where we are in our journey. So here, see, from ether, air is manifested, then fire is generated, then water, then from water, earth. From earth, many varieties of creation. So there is no need to lament. And this material body has no factual existence because it appears, it will disintegrate. That's all overdone. So that is what Vedas are giving this information so that we understand body is temporary and non-existence of the material body. If we understand, then we can go towards self-realization. That is why this has been stressed so much, that, body is temporary. It is like getting a body is like a dream, it seems. Sometimes in the dream, we see we are flying in the sky, or we're sitting on a chariot. We became kings or queens or whatever. Wake up, all that is not true. It is like that. Getting a body and giving up the body is like that for the soul. It is constantly, imagine Brahma's life is very, very long. We'll see that in 4th chapter. Our life is very short. Like say, for instance, we live for 70 years or 80 years, and a bug's life is barely few hours. For instance, the bug will not understand how a human being's life is so long. Like that, Brahma's life is very long compared to our life. Ours is like it's like flickering, you know. We feel like it's a very long, but actually it is short, very short. Soul is amazing. Some look at soul as amazing. Some think, wow, soul is so great and all that. Okay, let's read this. Okay, look at soul. Some look on the soul as amazing. Some people who are amazing look on the soul. Okay. Okay, now some hear about the amazing soul. Some people who are amazing hear about the soul. Some hear about the soul, which is amazing. Okay, hearing is amazing. Okay, soul is amazing. Some describe the soul as amazing. Some people who are amazing describe on the soul. Some people describe the soul, which is amazing. Describing is amazing. People are amazing. Soul is amazing. Soul, same size, amazing. In the sense, the soul we saw, right? How tiny it was, we just discussed. And imagine, it's just amazing to know that the atomic soul is within the body of a big, gigantic animal, an animal like an elephant. And it's in the bug also, a small, tiny insect, you know, and very tiny. Sometimes when you open old books, you'll see something running around. It will be as small as a mustard seed or much smaller. That also has the soul. And same size soul is in a banyan tree also. So that is just amazing to know. And there are millions and billions of these souls occupy every space, everywhere in this creation. But we are so much engrossed in sense gratification, we can't understand these wonders of the individual atomic soul. So the easiest process for us to understand the soul and all this theory is understanding through Bhagavad Gita and hearing Krishna's pastimes and all this. Otherwise, it is very, very difficult. People do a lot of penance and whatnot, right? They do austerities. They want to understand, self-realize, who am I? What am I? How did I come into being? They do a lot of studies. But the easiest way, what we have understood by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is just by, understanding what Krishna is saying, understanding who is Krishna and what is our relationship with Krishna, then everything falls into place. We will be on the right track. We understand who we are. So here, another example. O descendant of Bharata, he who dwells in the body can never be slain. Therefore, you need not grieve for any living being. See here, there is a judge sitting here, justice of the peace. So he will award punishment, right? He will order violence. If somebody has committed murder, he will accordingly give them life sentence or, maybe that person will be hung. That is violence. But we cannot blame him for that. He is actually following the codes of justice. The same way in the law book of mankind, it says a murderer should actually be punished. It is for his own benefit. If he is punished in this birth itself, then in the next birth, he does not have to suffer for his sins. So Manu Samhita says that the word Manav came from Manu. So all the rules and regulations are mentioned there. And it's actually recommended. Punishment is recommended. And also here also same thing is happening. This fight is for justice, right? It is a Dharma Yuddha. And again, we see a doctor performing surgery. So in a surgical operation also, the person might feel the pain and he's actually causing some pain to the patient. It is for curing him. It is not to hurt the other person. It's actually for his benefit. So like this war also is justified by the sanction of the Lord. It is not done capriciously. So that's the point. Analogy of unnecessary violence is not justified. Judge awarding capital punishment. Surgeon performing operation. Okay. So characteristics of soul. Who would like to read this? Everything is in one page. Hare Krishna. Can someone volunteer to read this one?
Can I read, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Correct is the soul. Eternal, no change, indestructible, imperishable, immeasurable, neither slayer nor ever slain, no birth, no death, not come into being, does not come into being, will not come into being, unborn, ever existing, primeval, immutable, cannot be cut into pieces, burned by fire, moistened by water, withered by wind, unbreakable, insoluble, neither burned or dried, everlasting, present everywhere, unchangeable, immovable, eternally the same, invisible, inconceivable, amazing. Look, see, hear, describe in
Hare
Shloka
Krishna,
29.
Prabhu. So all this information we are getting from our scriptures. We did not experiment to find out all this. But see, these are the characteristics of soul. Hare Krishna. Okay. Arjuna's further doubts and his surrender. Gnana, fight, there is no death for the soul. In section B, we did that. C is Karma Kanda. Buddhi Yoga is Nishkama Karma, fight but without any reaction. And D and E, I think we'll be able to do next week only. We'll see. Because there are too many things. Karma Kanda, fight, for gains come from dutifully fighting and losses come from not fighting. Okay, there is one verse here. Who would like to recite? Actually, two people can try reciting that. Yes,
I'll try, Mataji.
yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare
Others
Krishna.
also please try. Yeah.
Swadharmamapi chavikshya na vikampitam arhasi yuddhachreyonya. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else would like to recite this one?
Mataji, I'll try.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Swadharmam api chaveksya na vikampitam arhasi dharman yad ti yudak shreyonyat kshatriyasya na vidyate.
Okay. Please read the translation also, Prabhu.
Considering your specific duty as a kshatriya, you should know that there is no better engagement for you than fighting on religious principles, and so there is no need for hesitation.
Okay. Swadharma, specific duties. Okay, we'll discuss this. And then conditional stage. Varnashrama dharma, prescribed duties, stepping stone to spiritual understanding. Okay, now talking about violence, actually kshat means hurt, trayate means to give protection. So a kshatriya is supposed to give protection to everyone from harm. So kshatriya, they are meant for good administration. So what Arjuna is supposed to do is fight only. Another thing is, they were following violence because Kshatriyas, what they do, they go into the forest willingly, they challenge an animal, they fight with the animal face to face, kill the animal, and then give a royal burial to the animal. They have to practice. Otherwise, when suddenly something happens, they need to be ready to attack the enemy or attack an wild animal that's hurting others. So all this was actually permitted. And even Brahmanas who sacrifice animals, they also would attain heavenly planets. So that is recommended in our Vedas actually. And the animal that is sacrificed will get a human life immediately in the next birth. Otherwise, it has to go through that gradual evolutionary process. It does not have, human birth is not easy. But if the animal is sacrificed according to these Vedic rituals and whatever is recommended by a very qualified Brahmana, then it will get a human body. So like that, sometimes violence is recommended. So that point is clear here. And there are two kinds of duties. Do you know what those are? Two dharmas, two kinds of duties for all of us, for all living entities, especially humans.
And Sanatan.
Yeah. Conditional duty and constitutional duty. What is conditional duty?
It's related to the bodily things, what we are doing in our day-to-day life.
Yes, Mataji. Duty towards the body and its extensions. In the sense, we are born in a family, okay, and we don't get to choose the family, right? We are forced to be born in a certain family because of our own problems, karmic account and everything. Not like Krishna. Krishna can choose where he will appear and everything because he's the supreme. But otherwise, we are all just pushed into some body, which family also, nothing. And because we are in that situation, we have some duties to perform. We have some responsibilities, right? We have to earn for the family. We have to work for them. We have to serve them. Or some things are there that we have to do. We cannot just stop going to school, college, and our office and all that. So that is conditional duty. We have to do that properly. That as a duty we have to do. There is another duty called constitutional duty. That is our duty towards God, Krishna, and our maintaining our relationship with him. That is constitutional duty. So duty that is done on towards the body and its extensions, and a duty towards God, Krishna. So this has to be balanced. When these two dharmas are taken care of nicely, what happens is a person becomes very peaceful and he'll become very self-satisfied. Atmaram, that's what will happen. And nothing will, shake him up. Anything happens, he can handle it because he's balancing these two very nicely, conditional duty and constitutional duty. And such a person, he understands whatever happens is for his own betterment. It is like a blacksmith will keep on using a hammer, right? He'll keep hitting and hitting. He'll reshape things like that. Whatever problems we are facing, it's for reshaping our consciousness. He will understand that, and he will go through life in a very nice way, in a very mature way. So that will help him to elevate to a higher status of life. And then he'll really become a very, self-realized, and he'll have spiritual understanding of his life. So he will not lament. So that is very important. And performing swadharma or discharging specific duties gradually elevates to higher platform, and they can go to higher planets. Okay, there's one more thing we missed here. Let's see. Lord Krishna does not support artificial renunciation and acceptance of sannyasa by a kshatriya. Kshatriya is not supposed to accept sannyasa or begging and all that. He's saying, right, I'll give up everything and I'll go beg. I'll become begging and living like that. That he cannot do that because his nature is of a kshatriya. Wherever he goes, his nature will go with him. So that's not going to happen. And he's not supposed to accept sannyasa also so easily. In the 3rd chapter, we'll understand that better. O Partha, happy are the Kshatriyas to whom such fighting opportunities come unsought, opening for them the doors of the heavenly planets. The Kshatriya's duty is to protect the citizens from all kinds of difficulties, and for that reason, he has to apply violence in suitable cases for law and order. Therefore, he has to conquer the soldiers of inimical kings, and thus, with religious principles, he should rule over the world. So Krishna as a supreme teacher, he condemns Arjuna's attitude. He says, whatever you're saying is out of ignorance. So to be on the battlefield and to become non-violent, it is the philosophy of fools. That's what he's saying. You cannot do that. And if you die on the battlefield, you're going to go to higher planets. So there is enjoyment. He said there is no enjoyment, right? He's saying if you win the battle, you become the king. You enjoy your kingdom. If you die, what will happen? You'll go to higher planets. So either way, you are going to enjoy. So he said, there is no enjoyment, there is enjoyment. Krishna is saying, if you do not perform your religious duty of fighting, then you will certainly incur sins for neglecting your duties. And thus lose your reputation as a fighter. Arjuna was a famous fighter. He was very well known those days also. So he was a great warrior. And then everybody knew him. Even he had got a lot of gifts from demigods also. Lord Shiva had given him Pashupatastra. And then Dronacharya also had given him benedictions. And he had given him a special weapon which he could use against his own teacher. Dronacharya knew he can use that weapon to kill him only. He had given such a weapon to him. And then many military certificates he had from so many authorities. His own father Indra also had blessed him with so many things. So it's such a great personality. Now if he abandons the battle, he'll lose all fame, right? Such a bad name he'll get. All good name will go. So by not fighting, you'll actually go to hell. That's what Krishna is saying. And then he says, infamy. See, people will always speak of your infamy. And for a respectable person, dishonor is worse than death. So if you leave the battlefield before the battle even begins, people will call you a coward. They will not say, wow, look great, Arjuna, he actually saved all our life. They will not talk like that. They will say, look at him, he's a coward, he's running away. That's what they will say. So he's saying, no, that's how they will look at you. And then it's better you die in the battle, because infamy is worse than death. So you lose your prestige in the society anyway. So, and I'm your friend also. So that will save you from the ill fame of misusing my friendship also. So as a friend and as a guru, he's telling, you have to fight. The great generals who have highly esteemed your name and fame will think that you have left the battlefield out of fear only, and thus they will consider you insignificant. So tomorrow many people may think, no, Arjuna did it, so I can also do. Let me give up my, run from my duties. So because people generally in the 3rd chapter also it will repeat. I will mute someone. People usually follow examples of great people. If whatever the great person does, they will try to follow. They'll take them as their role models. So here, whatever Arjuna does, he has to be very careful. So he says, do not think all these great generals will think, oh, you have left the battle out of compassion. Oh, look, Arjuna has so much compassion for his brothers and grandfather. They will not say that. They'll think, look, he's afraid. He's fearing his life. That's why he's running. That's how they will assess him. So one shloka is here. Please recite. Anyone? Who would like to recite this one? Please try. Hare Krishna. There are so many people. Deepti Mataji, you only want to try, Mataji? Oh, okay.
I think
Prabhuji,
every devotee should try.
Try,
So
yes.
it's good to, Yeah, it'd be great if any of you can recite it.
Everyone is very quiet. Maybe this is dinner time, is that so?
Hare
Yes.
Krishna Mataji.
Hare
Would you
Krishna.
have to do once and then I'll try afterwards? It's just the
Okay. Avacyavadams chabahun vadishyanti tava hitaha dindantas tava samarthyam tato dukkataram nukim.
avajya vadans cha bahum vadasyanti tavaha hitaha nidantasta tava samatyam tato dukha taram nikim.
Taranmukim. Your enemies will describe you in many unkind words and scorn your ability. What could be more painful for you? Heavenly planet, earthly kingdom. Either you will be killed on the battlefield and attain the heavenly planets, or you will conquer and enjoy the earthly kingdom. Therefore, get up with determination and fight. Okay, there is one more, another verse. Sukha Dukhe. Please try. Please try to recite that one. Hare Krishna.
Right, Mataji?
Okay, Prabhuji.
Okay. सुख दुखे समय कृत्वा लाभालाभौ जया जयो ततो युद्ध्या युज्यस्व नेवं पापं वापस्यसि. Hare Krishna.
Fight for the sake of fighting without considering happiness or distress. Right now he said, just some time back he said, okay, if you will enjoy, you will get the kingdom. If you die also, you'll go to heavenly planet. Now he's saying, fight for the sake of fighting. Don't even worry about happiness or distress, loss or gain, victory or defeat. And by so doing, you shall never incur sin. So he's saying Arjuna must fight because he desires the battle. He's saying you must fight because I want you to fight. It's like that, okay? And everything actually should be performed in that consciousness, transcendental consciousness, without considering happiness or distress, profit or loss, victory or defeat. You know, one should perform his activities. Now, slowly from Karma Kanda, he's saying, do your duty so you can enjoy, he said. Now you're saying, do your duty whether you enjoy or not. And then this is his slowly taking him towards spiritual elevation. So whatever we do for sense gratification, you know, Arjuna was saying, I am not going to fight because of sense gratification only. He was looking at what will make me happy. Oh, that will make me happy. I'll be happier if I run away. I'll be happier if all of these people live. I don't want to kill them. This is how he was thinking. So that's actually sense gratification. So whatever we do in that consciousness, either in goodness or in passion, what will happen? There will be some reaction to it. Some reaction will be there. But a person who is completely surrendered to the Lord and if he is working for the Lord, then there is no sin to that activity at all. So we'll understand that more now. Buddhi Yoga, Nishkama Karma, fight but without any reaction. You're doing some activity, but there is no reaction, no good, bad, nothing. Account is zero. Only when our account is zero, we can enter the spiritual world. Otherwise, we'll always be here, settling the accounts. That's how it is. Okay, one verse is here. Please go ahead and read, recite. There's so many names here. Rama Mataji is there. Santoshi Mataji, Seema, Vishal, Prabhuji. So many names are here. Deepti Mataji. Okay, who would like to recite this one?
I can try, Mataji, but not sure I may go
No
wrong.
problem, Mataji. Please go ahead.
Esha te bihita sankhye buddhir yoge tava imam shrano buddhaya yokta yaya partha karma bandaham prahasyasi. Sorry.
Yes, Mataji. Would you like to read also? Thank you.
Sure, Mataji. This one? This one?
Yes,
The below?
Mataji, everything. Yeah.
Thus far, I have described this knowledge to you through analytical study, Sankhya. Now listen as I explain it in terms of working without fruitive results, Buddhi Yoga. O son of Pritha, when you act in such knowledge, you can free yourself from the bondage of works. Buddhi Yoga means to work in Krishna consciousness for the satisfaction of the Lord only, in full bliss and knowledge of devotional service.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. So that is Buddhi Yoga. It may appear in your quiz also. So you should know that through intelligence, you serve the Lord. And that description is here. So Sankhya is saying through analytical study. Sankhya means, according to Vedic dictionary, Sankhya means that which describes things in detail. That's what it means. But Sankhya here is the philosophy which describes the real nature of the soul, original nature of the soul. Yoga also involves controlling the senses. Okay. And the yoga means they're connecting to the Lord. Yoga involves controlling the senses also. So now, as we know, it was all done for sense gratification. Now he's getting the proper information. So Sankhya is actually explaining, it is like analytical description of the body and the soul. That is Sankhya here. Because many people say second chapter is also Sankhya Yoga, which is a summary of the entire Gita. But that is, the Sankhya word is here because of this analytical description of the body and the soul. And there was one atheist person, Kapila. This Sankhya has nothing to do with that Kapila. And there is one more Kapila Muni in Bhagavatam, who is the son of Devahuti and Kardama Muni. He actually is the incarnation of Lord Krishna only. So his Sankhya and what Krishna is saying here, that Sankhya is the same information. But the atheist Kapila is giving some other description. That's not what this is. So let's go ahead. We can do 2 more slides and then we'll do information about Stitadir Muni. There's so much to describe, so many examples are also there of Stitadir Muni. That will be nice. And the stages of fall down, that we can do in the next session. We'll stop after 2-3 slides. Okay. One interesting verse here. Very nice. Who'd like to recite this one?
I'll try this time, Mataji.
Sure, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Neha Vikrama Nashosti Pratyavayo na vidyate Swalpam api asya dharmasya Rayate mahato bhayat. Hare Krishna.
In this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution. A little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. Okay. So what happens in this material world, whatever activity we do, material activity, without 100% success, there is no profit, right? Material activities will have some kind of result in the end. And it's like, did you pass the exam? We say, right? We need to do something to pass the exam. And minimum is there. But in Krishna consciousness, that's not how it is. Even if we do 1%, 2%, 3%, 10%, in our next birth, we can start from that 11th percent. So Krishna will give us credit. So that's how it is. Even little thing we do for Krishna also will take us along, will give us a lot of benefits. He'll make sure in our next birth, since we are already trying to understand him and going towards the spiritual advancement, what he will do, by chance we are again coming back to this world, he'll give us an environment where we can continue from where we stopped. He will provide us a Vaishnava family or give us birth in a very nice, beautiful family. Or it could be an aristocratic family and, or a very cultured Brahminical family like that. So we'll be in that environment and it'll become easier. Progress becomes faster. So whatever we do, even if we take his name by mistake also, there will be benefit. It's like that. So we'll discuss these examples here and then stop. Here, see. Neha Vikramanashvasti Pratyavayuna Vidyate Svalpam Apyasya Dharmasya Trayate Mahato Bhayat. So there is no fear of sinful reaction if the action is done for the Lord himself. So that's what it is saying. And this is said by all saintly people, Shastras and spiritual master. They, under their guidance, whatever we do, that will incur no sin. Here we have example of Vibhishan. He actually surrendered to Lord Ram, right? Ravana was his brother. He should have supported him. Ideally, we say, we should support family, but he knew, he knew what was the right thing to do. He went and surrendered to Lord Ram. And that is not a sinful activity at all. We don't look at him as a sinner, right? Same thing. Hanuman burnt the whole Lanka, but we don't call him that's not looked down upon. We worship him for that. So because that activity was done for Lord Ram, it was actually the right thing to do. It's like that. So no sins. These activities are actually the right course of action. It's like that. And this mouse, it seems there was a cherry or something on the lamb. No, it thought the lamp is a cherry and it jumped to eat that. And because the mouse jumped on it, what happened? It burnt and gave up his life. And then the lamp was actually burning much brighter because of that. It is like he sacrificed his life for the lamp. So he attained liberation. It's like that. Anything you do by mistake also, you'll get eternal benefits. In Krishna book, if you read, there are so many demons that get killed. Krishna kills so many demons, but all of them got liberation. It's like that. Even Putana, she came to give poison, but Krishna actually gave her liberation. He looked at her as mother. So in the spiritual world, she's actually in the role of a mother. So it's like that. So Krishna actually is very merciful. The Lord is very merciful. Whatever we do for him, we'll always have, eternal benefits. I'll stop the share, stop the